Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. Last week, if you tuned in, if you did not, go back and make sure you tune in. We took a deep dive into all things telehealth. So, video sessions for not just therapy, but other types of services, in the health and wellness field. So, and we talked with Michelle Cully. But this week, we'll be chatting with Tijana Coso about an intervention called the emotional freedom technique, or it's also known as tapping. So we're super excited, and it gets us, super useful intervention for so many different things.
Tijana!
Hello there, my dear. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you. And even on a Sunday morning, you're your beautiful, genuine, energetic self, and I love it.
And I wish I could hug you.
Oh, virtual hug. So I wanted you to just give us a brief introduction. Your back, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, personal, professional, and how you got to here and sharing about EFT.
Okay. Well, my name is Tijana Coso, and you can call me T, and that's what a lot of people call me because I can't pronounce Tijana, and then they ignore me, and then I feel bad, and then I have to tap. Anyway, so emotional freedom technique. I've always been in the industry to help train people since I was in high school. I actually helped cashiers. I mean, I've always been in the training profession, helping profession regarding education, did parenting courses, and then I was going into mental health counseling, and I shifted to helping women open businesses. So I've had this route to helping people become better versions of themselves. And so what happened is I hit a trauma about 10 years ago where, well, let me take a step back. Yes, I hit a trauma about 10 years ago. That would be a good place to start this. And so that's where I kind of found emotional freedom technique in bed. It sounds kind of salacious, but actually was pretty depressing. I was actually in bed depressed, and I literally I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't function, and you can see I have a lot of energy, but this really kicked my butt. And if you ever are with anybody who's depressed, I'll let you know right now, happy thoughts, exercise, doing good videos, these things don't work when you don't want to even live. So my girlfriend came over and she told me about EFT, and I said to her, Paula, is that weird tapping thing you told me about 20 years ago? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do, my life is so much better because I tapped on my head. Well, I won't be doing that. And I couldn't. I thought it was the goofiest thing in the planet. So what happened is, she came back, I don't know how much later. By then I had gone on some antidepressants, and I kind of saw the loosening of the hopelessness. And she came back and introduced it to me again, and I started tapping it. My life changed so fast. I mean, it was like I've always been in personal growth, self-help, and I've done a lot of different meetings and things, and nothing changed as fast. And I was blown away. In fact, I was so embarrassed I couldn't tell anybody. They're like, why are you doing so good? Oh, I tapped on the side of my eye. What is that? So that's how I got introduced.
I love that. Do you know what the pivotal moment was? And you said that maybe your brain was starting to kind of clear up a little bit, and maybe that's why you were more open to it. Was there anything else that made you more open at that time?
No. I don't know if you can identify, but when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you will try anything. I mean, if somebody told me to stand on my head and spit nickels, I would do that to get better because I was just getting to the point. I get so many good comments when I train, so many good ones, not about me, about EFT. But my favorite comment was I did this big conference, I think it was maybe for 500 people, and one of the reviews said, "Get the quack off the stage." I loved it because that was me. I thought, this is quacky, and there's no way I would, I did not diss this person who said that in the review. I thought everybody else's was good. And this one gentleman said, "Get the quack off the stage." And I thought to myself, you are on it, because that was me. I would never do anything until it worked. And I found out it was based in science, because when I realized that the bottom line of EFT is basic science, I was able to then share with others. Otherwise, it was like this woo-woo, airy-fairy thing. but it's not woo-woo, airy-fairy. If you study the research, and I studied it, I followed brain science. I went on seminars to neuroscientists. I followed it, and it's just based in hard science. So that's when I actually shared it with people.
I love that. What's like your current, like on your website, I saw like consulting, and then do you just kind of do a little bit of all of that stuff still?
Well, actually, thanks for asking, Kelsi. And I think about both of you doing so many different things, just trying to help your clients. Kelsi was telling me about how she takes people on hiking, and I know Amanda does aromatherapy, and it's like, we will do whatever it takes to help our people. Personally, what I do right now is I do a few clients. I used to do FaceTime clients only. And here I was sitting in this room helping people one-on-one. And I realized when these people changed as quickly as they did, a big vision came out for me. And so right now, 90% of my business is training social workers, counselors, teachers, caseworkers, foster parents, but mainly CEs, continuing education credits. That's mostly what I do. I don't do wellness seminars as often. I think I do it for a couple counties. I give them a wellness thing, but mostly it's for continuing education credits. And so I have that side, and then I have the working with addicts and domestic violence. But that's where I've moved from that to strictly continuing education courses and a couple clients.
Very cool. Okay. I was like, it sounds like you did all the things, and like you said, me and Amanda, we took on new things in the pandemic, and then each of us in our own practices do multiple things. So I was wondering what your umbrella looked like. So thank you for that.
That's great that you do that, because you go where the client needs. If the client needs this, it's not your way. So
absolutely. So we'll just jump right in and just go ahead and tell us and our, the community watching and listening, what exactly is EFT?
Okay, EFT, she just said, gave the acronym Emotional Freedom Technique. And I think I want to ask all of you who are out there, emotional freedom. Anybody want emotional freedom? I mean, I just think, who doesn't want emotional freedom? Even if anxiety is not big. I'm not a very anxious person, okay? But I get in situations where I get triggered. So I think about holidays coming up. What if it was the regular Christmas and you got thrown into your work Christmas party, or your family's, you have to, your son's having it Christmas, your daughter's having Christmas, you have exes, you have stepchildren, and all this conflict. Emotional freedom. Wouldn't you like to show up solid, not with any anxiety? So I love emotional freedom technique for that reason. You can use it anytime, anywhere. Now I can actually show you public emotional freedom technique, because if you did this, your family would actually know that you're stressed out. Like, hey, you're driving me crazy, my brother-in-law, or whatever, something like that. So there is something called public emotional freedom technique. I made that great, interesting word up. But emotional freedom technique is a way to lower your stress and anxiety, to give you emotional freedom. It's actually a self-regulation technique. So you regulate yourself. And I think about the counselors and the social workers that I train, and I just think of both of you. You work so hard. Like, you didn't go into this business for the big bucks, right? So you work so hard to help your clients, and then you send them home, and they're doing, like, you put the Band-Aid on, they're doing great, and they get home, and then, like, by the time they come back and see you, the Band-Aid's fallen off and they're bleeding again. So what I love about emotional freedom technique is, because it's self-regulating, it means the people can take it home with them. It's almost like physical therapy, where you can go at home, get better, and then when you see your counselor, or even if you don't see a counselor, you're doing better on your own. And that's what I like about it. It's what emotional freedom technique is, you tap on your acupuncture meridian points. This is an evidence-based technique, and I'm just going to walk through them quickly, and in the end we'll show you what they are. And it's evidence-based, which means it's research-based, proven to work, and it's tapping on acupuncture meridian points. And these are just some of them. There's 9 for clinical EFT. And what it does, it works quickly to reduce your anxiety and the emotional impact of past experiences. So emotional freedom technique, what is it? You should be able to, by the time my course is over, by the time this talk is over, you should be able to turn to the person and go, it's about reducing your anxiety. That's really what it is. You're doing it by yourself. It helps with trauma, and that's more of a continuing education class, but it reduces anxiety. And how it does it is it interrupts the automatic stress response in your body. So when, like I think about my caseworkers when I'm working with them, or domestic violence, the garage door goes up for the domestic violence victim and their stomach starts shaking, okay? They can reduce their anxiety right then and there, so they're calm and clear and they know what they need to do next. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I want to tell another piece, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so emotional freedom technique, it's also called tapping. I just showed you some of the points. Your questions are, how many do I have to do? How often I can do that? We'll talk about that in a second when they're ready to ask me those questions. But it lowers your anxiety so you can think clearly. Now, I just want to share with you a little bit about brain science. And this is a snippet, so it's not technically correct. But I always like to say when my trainings, I give this visualization on the brain. You know, when you lose your cell phone and you go, where's my cell phone, or where's my wallet? You literally go into panic and you think, oh my gosh, where's my cell phone? And you literally lose your head. Well, that's what your threat response is. You actually lose your head. You actually can't think clearly. When that garage door goes up for the domestic violence person, she can't think clearly, okay? EFT is almost like a helper. It helps you think clearly. So this is how I visually say it. This is called the front part of your brain. It's called the frontal lobes. And I'm not being structurally accurate. I'm doing this as more of a visual. And the back part of your brain, which it's really not back here, but I kind of use this for a visual for my classes. It's called your threat response. So when the garage door goes up for that domestic violence person, all of her thinking that's supposed to be right here, it's called your logical thinking part of your brain, is gone. And it literally goes to her limbs for a fight, flight, or freeze, because she might have to take action. And what happens is the thinking leaves the power of here, and it's like the emotional brain is an alarm, and it's not back here. I just do it for a visual. It's called your amygdala. Well, I don't want to show where it is. But anyway, so you go from thinking to panic, okay? What tapping does is it takes you out of this back here panic and puts you back into thinking. So I recommend it, do you want to think clearly? Students, whoever needs it. So basically EFT interrupts this automatic threat response, allowing you to get back to clear thinking, going from panic, which is your emotional part of your brain, to thinking, oh, the garage door, it's only my son coming in. It's not my husband who's an alcoholic and abusive. I'm okay. Or I can get out of here, or you can think clearly. That's an extreme example, but I think of students, and this is where my number one, I'm working hard right now to get this into schools. And that is, I think about, you take a four-year-old, and then they turn 5, and you put them on a bus and you say, go to school. And I'm going to take your binky away, and then take your soft blankie away, and I'm taking mommy away. Go cope. Good luck to you. And the kid goes to school and they have maybe anxiety from different reasons. Wouldn't it be great if they could lower their anxiety so they could think clearly, so they can know that mommy's okay, I'm safe? Wouldn't it be helpful if they learned this tool when they were 4 years old, so that when they're in middle school and they're getting bullied, they can go in the bathroom and tap, they can drop their hands under the table and tap, so they can think clearly, say, okay, I don't have to do drugs. I don't have to do drugs. I can go and get help. But when you're in panic mode, you can't think clearly. You only think react. And that's my passion, is to get it to the children.
Don't apologize. We're all on the same pedestal. And I think even just like, this is the example I give my clients recently when I'm sharing what it is. This is my example. When the pandemic first started, it was probably like March, April. We didn't really know. It was like, right? And so I ordered takeout. It said you could get curbside like pickup, right? So we pull up, it's supposed to be ready. I call, I'm like, hey, I'm here. They're like, okay, sure, you can come on and get it. And I'm just like, okay. Already start like panicking because I don't know what this means. I have to put a mask on now, right? No, I didn't get there yet. So I walk in.
Well, I meant your heart was pounding. I didn't mean
Oh, my
tap.
heart was pounding. Yeah, I didn't start tapping yet. My heart was pounding. I'm irritated. I'm frustrated. I'm already offline, right? And I say, hi, I'm here to pick up an order for Amanda. And they say, order for Amanda. Okay, it's just got a couple more minutes on the fries and then it'll be ready for you. Lose it, right? Because you told me it was ready. I came in, there's some crazy thing going on. I'm gonna catch it in the 5 minutes I'm in the store, right? Full on panic. And instead I just put my hand here. You're gonna explain public tapping later. And I said, okay, thank you. And I just slowly stepped back and I just waited my turn. And then I just started tapping a little more and I just did some breathing and I talked it out.
The breathing, great. And I love
Mhm.
that, Amanda, because what you said is, and that's what, if people aren't counselors or professionals, you went offline. Your brain, your thinking went offline and you
Mhm.
brought it back online and didn't panic. And you were able to then see your choices and what you could do. I can step back, I can breathe, I can step out here, I can go in my car. But like you said, when you're in panic, there aren't any choices. You're in panic mode. You're in safety mode.
Mhm. Yeah, I wanted to just go off on them, right? Like, why didn't you say that to begin with? And I was like, nope. So I had to give that because that's an easy example too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already gave examples, domestic violence survivors, addiction. We gave these kind of examples. Who else can benefit from tapping? And I know because I've been to your trainings and I know you that that's a silly question of me to ask, but for our audience, who can benefit?
Well, I guess the question becomes, who wants to think clearly? Does anybody? I mean, when you you have to go work with your supervisor and you go in there and you're a little anxious because it's a new supervisor. Do you want to be able to think clearly so that when they ask you a question, you don't go baby? Because when you have any anxiety, you're actually going to the fight or flight. Your body doesn't know if this is just, like Amanda said, a bad order at a restaurant that didn't come through, or if there's somebody with a gun to your head. It doesn't, your body goes into like a chemical reaction to take your thinking away. So my goal is to think clearly. So who needs it? Do you, like me personally, I don't want to have to apologize all the time. Sometimes, like like Amanda, that was a perfect example. I don't want to go, sorry for blowing up at you. I'll just start, there's this public tapping. I'll drop my hand down because I want to think clearly. I was in a car with two people. They were in the front talking politics. This was, we had our masks on and the windows were open. And this was a while ago, maybe about 3 months. And they're talking politics and I'm trapped in the back seat. I'm losing my cookies here. I'm like going, are we really? Are we doing this? And I'm just tapping because, again, I just want to enjoy the car ride. Where were you going? I didn't want to get all worked up. So you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. That's pretty much it. My son came in the door one day and he started telling me how he was going to, and this is no exaggeration. He's like, Mom, I got this great idea. Now, this is the son who's changed his degree like 4 times, and that costs me money every time. And so he comes in the door and he's like, Mom, I got this great idea. I'm like, really? And he says, I decided to drop out of school. And my hands go from like working on my computer to like, I grab, and I just dropped him under the table and I started tapping. I go, really, you're going to drop out of school again? And I just wanted to go at him, Amanda. And he's like telling me how he's going to take his band, as in B-A-N-D, and they're going to buy a van, V-A-N, and they're going to travel. And he's going to work in a factory for a while to save money. And I'm just tapping all the way because, I just want to go, are you kidding me? Just get the degree already. And I just dropped my hands. And all I said was, really? So that saved an apology and a relationship with my son. And guess what? By the grace of God, he just went and did his thing. And after having so many horrible reactions in different factories, he realized, yeah, maybe I better go back to school right now. I let him go. And honestly, I can tell you the truth, because my idea of, hey, I don't care if you go to school or not, just it's cost me money, pick a path, try to figure it out, And yes, I was able to think clearly and respond as an adult, not somebody who's really frustrated.
Absolutely. Okay. So how do we, is there any cons or considerations? And I heard you mention like the public tapping. So potential cons or things that people who are wanting to get into it should, may have in their head, or, those kind of considerations when using it?
That's a good question. Well, let's just take a drink of our water so we can get hydrated, so we can tap at the end. You have to be hydrated. So I'm going to take a sip. I want y'all, anybody who's watching this, get some water and hydrate yourself. You don't have to. I'm not trying to be controlling. I'm just making a suggestion. Okay, so a con. What is it, EFTs? The only con is, I can't think of a con other than not believing it works. Basically, it's a good grounding technique. So it's, Kelsi, right? So it's great to ground your clients, to bring them back here and now. In fact, Bessel van der Kolk, in trainings, I've been with him, and he basically says that he uses tapping in every single trauma session. So I'm sorry, Bessel van der Kolk, he's a trauma expert. His book is amazing if you haven't read it. It's called The Body Keeps the Score, and it is, I think it should be required for anybody who's working with people with trauma. Okay, so he uses it for grounding. I guess better question that I get asked, Kelsi, is that how is it good for children? Is it good for seniors? Is it good for special needs? Is it good for all those different populations? Children, non-talking babies. EFT is based in physiology. So if you do a reflex test and you go to the doctor and she takes a rubber mallet and she hits your knee with it, your knee pops up, and that's automatic. When you take a cell phone, and I was going to look for my cell phone. Oh, here it is. Sorry. If I take my cell phone and hit my knee will pop up, because my knee didn't know if it was a cell phone, if it was the side of my hand, or if it was a rubber mallet from a doctor. So my point here is EFT is automatic. When you tap, it automatically interrupts the stress response, allowing for calm. It's automatic. So that means you could say to me, well, Tijana, what if they speak a different language? What if they don't speak? Well, it doesn't matter. If you took a rubber mallet and hit their knee, they still would have a reflex test. So basically EFT, I consider the same concept in that it's automatic, it's physiologically based. So it works for all populations, ages, cultures. And when I work with different teachers, educations, and cultures, they just massage it differently. Like Amanda told a great story for an adult, but there's a way to tell it for a child, and then they just tell the story differently. Like, when you lose your backpack and you get all stressed out and then you start crying, you could actually do this, and then it'll help you find your backpack. So your question was, is it harmful? It's not harmful. And I kind of massaged your question to be what populations, because there is no harm using it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, sorry, Amanda.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
The public tapping. So if, individuals want to get into this, they're like, okay, it's good for everybody. It sounds like it can help me in so many different situations, but what if I am in a public space? Well,
that's a big question, because I can show it to you, but what I want you to understand is there's clinical EFT, and that's if that's clinical EFT, that means if you want to take tapping for the whole clinical aspect of it and work with clients in that fashion. I have something I call functional EFT, and that's just for grounding. It's a shortened version. If you look at, like, even if Peta Stapleton has a book on the science of it, she mentions, don't worry about getting everything so perfect. My domestic violence clients don't need it perfectly. When I'm running through the house, I don't need perfect EFT. I don't need to do the whole, they call it the whole protocol for clinical EFT, because I just need to lower my stress right now, right here. So I call it functional EFT, which is just pick a point and tap. Okay, so you can pick this point and you can tap. Just this point. You don't have to go through the whole sequence if you're not in therapy. You're just like, I just need to lower this right now. Kind of like a Band-Aid, where therapy with EFT is more long-term cleaning this up for permanent, forever results. So your question is, what is public EFT? Well, that's a really good question. So here I am right now, sitting at a meeting at the kitchen table, at the counter. I'll just press here. Like literally, this is what I do sometimes because I get tired of, I could press right here. So what is public tapping? It's actually public pressing. So I could show you the points and you can press. Like, just think about going like this. Nobody knows that you're pressing, okay? Nobody knows that you're sitting here and you're pressing on an acupuncture meridian point that helps with, in EFT. Nobody knows that. So you can do it any way you want. I've been known to do all of them. I don't do this one in public though. Well, actually, I have done that at the mall on Christmas Eve, December 24th at like 9:30 p.m. I was so stressed. I don't know what to buy somebody. But let me show you public tapping a step further. Oh, I have a pet. I don't know if I can.
Do you mind saying out loud where it is you're pressing for
Yeah,
those that are?
I'll show you the 9. I'll show you the 9 points. These are for clinical EFT. There's one called the karate chop point, which is right here. Okay. And when I do,
Tijana, I'm being a pain. Not everyone's going to watch the video.
oh, thank you.
Can you verbally explain where you're tapping?
Okay, so there's these 9 meridian points, and they couldn't even, thank you, Amanda, because they couldn't even see where I was like pressing. So like just press like this. They're like, lady, I can't see. Okay, so there's 9 points on your body in clinical EFT. And we in EFT are so creative that we call the points exactly what they are. We didn't come up with tricky fancy names. So the top of the head is literally, you would be tapping the top of your head. This is 1 point. Where on the top of your head? Well, it's physiological. So kind of get in the area of the top of your head. Everybody's top of the head shape is different. So get to the top of your head, maybe a little bit farther back. All right. So the next point is the eyebrow. So what is the eyebrow? I'll move into the lens here. So it's not this your total eyebrow. It's where your skin meets your hair on your eyebrow. Okay. I'm going to say that again. The second point, and they don't have to be in any order, is the point where your skin touches your eyebrow hair on your face. So it's not right between, it's where your skin touches your hair right at the edge on the
Or your nose.
inside. Yeah, thank you. Inside between your nose. Yeah, I don't usually have to do this I have to practice that. In between your 2 eyebrows, okay? The side of the eye would be your smile lines, okay? And for the men out there, it's their crow's feet. For us, it's our smile lines. And you just tap gently. I'm tapping with 2 fingers. You can tap with 1 finger. You could use your cell phone. It might hurt, but you could do anything because it's really about tapping on a point. Under the eye is right under your pupil, on your cheekbone. And you could YouTube my videos to see exactly where. You're gently tapping on that with 1, 2 fingers. It doesn't matter. Under your nose is where a mustache would be. That's the best way to say it. So it's not your lip, it's where your mustache would be. The next point is called your chin. It's not on your chin bone. It is the little groove right under your lip. So you would tap in there. How many times would you tap? Would you use your left hand or right hand? It doesn't matter because it's physiological. If you took a rubber mallet on your knee and you used your left hand, would it matter? Or when you use your right hand, would it matter? Would it matter what knee you hit? Unless you had an injury, it probably wouldn't. So it's the same concept. So we just went with the chin. Now we're going to go down to the collarbone. The collarbone is, you have a bone on your chest, and underneath it is a soft spot. So it's just, it's better to look at a video, but where that point is, again, everybody's body's different. Get in the vicinity. That's the one where a lot of people just use their whole hand to tap there, or maybe like all 5 of their fingers. They might tap like more like I can't describe it, but you would just tap in that area. Under the arm is literally under the arm, where a lady's bra would be. Okay, and then top of the head. So there's the karate chop point. There's between the 2 eyebrows called the eyebrow. There's the side of the eye, which is where your smile lines are. Under the eye, on your cheekbone, under your nose. Chin, which is not on the bone, but in the little indentation. Collarbone, under the arm, top of the head. So what we just went through were the 9 points for clinical EFT. Can you see somebody doing those all the time? They don't. I mean, even if you're a practitioner. So that's why I turned it into this thing I call a functional EFT, because when I work with foster parents, they're not doing clinical, they're not doing research. They just want help now. So those are the points. Now let me show you what public pressing. I call it public tapping, but it's really just pressing. So I would put, I could just press on any of those points, and you can do it very inconspicuously. There's another point that I use, and if I show you my hand, you would definitely have to look at my video online called, I think, public tapping with my name. You have a pinky finger, and then you have a ring finger. Okay, I'm actually going to color myself for y'all. So there's webbing that goes from all the way down to almost your wrist, right in here. This is a point. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So what I do is, this is the point I use like the majority of time. I take my hand and I just press on that. This is not one of the 9 points. This is a special technique they use for trauma. But you would just press. So if you go to my website, I think my Facebook page too, I'm literally pressing on this point right here. Always. I always am standing. I'll just show you. I'm always standing like this when I do a seminar, and I'm pressing, because when I do a seminar or any training or conference, I want to be focused. I don't want to notice who's talking in the corner, who just left, who did this, who did that. I need to be present. So you will always find me like this, because it brings my thinking back online. So this is my favorite pressing point. And I'm just pressing in there. Another good one is the karate chop point. You could just press on that, which is where you would take your hand, and I'm sorry, that was one of the 9 points it's the side of your hands where you would hit and chop a board. They call it the karate chop point, or the side of the hand. That's one of the 9. You could press on that. Nobody would know. You could drop your hands under the table. I will show you one more. It's pinching your fingers like this. So I'm not pinching my fingers front to back. I'm pinching them side to side. And again, this is hard to see without a video, but you could take your hands under the table and just press them. And again, these are just some ways that I call public tapping. But my go-to is this. My hand, when my son came in and told me he was quitting school again, I just took my hand down under the table and I started pressing. And then I got sore and I dug holes in my hands and I went to the other side.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Tijana. I feel like so many people are gonna walk away or, tune out from this, and go about their life and actually have something concrete that you've, walked us through and to be able to use day to day. So thank you. But thank you so much for being here and, sharing all that wealth of information with us, and we can tell you're very passionate about it, and it's very useful, very practical. So, and that's what we look to put out there to people. So
yeah, I think that's so honorable that you're doing this to try to bring people into, to mix it up. And for you, as you work with your clients, you would just have them pick one of the points that they feel comfortable with, because I always introduce it to people with just functional EFT. Let's just do this. I don't go, let's go like this, because they roll their eyes. They're like me. What? I'm going to tap on the top of my head. So just take a spot and say, would you be open to trying this and just tapping right here while you're telling me that story about abuse? And it's basically a grounding technique.
Okay. Very cool.
Okay. So yeah, I attended hour and a half long training on EFT at the NASW conference with you, Tijana, and it was life-changing. That was one of my compliments, was that hour and a half I left with a tool, and then I had to come back. When you offered a 6-hour one, I was like, I'm in. Can I just be there all day? Because that's one of my favorite things. You go to training sometimes and you don't leave with anything. People go to therapy a lot, they talk about things and they don't leave with anything. So I love this. It's such a perfect grounding skill,
I love it too.
And then you mentioned your YouTube a couple times, so I will link that in the bio, so our listeners can get that, and then I'll link your website as well. Are those the best places for people to find you?
Yep. I'm not so good on the YouTubes. I should get better like y'all. So, yes, I have a couple YouTubes for sure. And then the other thing is in my website, and then for counselors or professionals, I have a private website page that I don't know how you want to handle that. It's only, they have to have a password, and they have to be a therapist or counselor. So I guess they should message me. I'm sorry, I've never done it where it was out to the general public.
Is it on social media or?
It might be on my Facebook page. So they could.
Okay.
They could email me too at info@Coso Consulting, I guess.
I was going to say, is your email there? We could just put your email and they can contact you that way.
Yep,
Yeah.
sounds good. And then I can give them the password to get on.
Perfect. Oh, so excited.
Thank you for letting me do this. And I'm really excited for all the creative things that you're doing to help people.
Cool. We appreciate that. And it's funny. So, we always tell everybody, don't forget, to make sure we're liking and subscribing. And we love feedback. So if anybody has any topics that we haven't talked about yet, to share those with us, and just trying to put, good things out there. And so again, I know we can't say it enough, but thank you so much for joining us this week on the Sunday morning and sharing all of this with us. We really appreciate it.
Great people.
And then next week, our very own Kelsi is going to be our guest, and she's going to talk about the topic as therapists in the wild. So you're going to know.
Is that what you were telling me about before?
Yeah, we're going to kind of tie that in, and just, I thought I would touch on some just like the misconceptions of therapy and how we can, mix it up and really customize and meet clients where they're at. And I do a lot of, stuff with nature and plants and hiking and kind of connecting and grounding that way. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to the table myself.
I think it's
going to be so good.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Tijana. You're welcome back anytime.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.